Thank you for coming today for, I believe this is our third Women of Influence panel. We are partnering with the Colorado Springs Business Journal, and Tammy is here from the Business Journal. And why we're doing this is Women of Influence is there are many women in the community that do great things, that volunteer in their community, work with different partnerships and nonprofits, and have their own businesses. What's unique about these women are that they all come from different countries. At some point in their life, they made their way to the United States and then found their freedoms and also found a life with families, friends, community. And so this is one of the ways that the library is reaching out to the community. One of the ones we had earlier was just Women of Influence, and we actually presented to multiple high schools and middle schools. And it was phenomenal to see our youth looking at women in a different frame, seeing that there are women here that are doing things that they can do. And so we're gonna have some questions for our panel today. We're gonna let them introduce themselves first, and I'll start with myself. My name is Shirley Martinez, and I'm the Director for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion for the Library District. I've been here now a year and a half, so really excited about where this journey is going to take me in building up more culture and experiences in the library for our community. So I am also a Woman of Influence for 2010, and I'm a retired military person, as well as I'm retired from Colorado Springs Utilities. So I'm really enjoying, being in the library and learning so much about adventure and reading and all that we do in this library and all the libraries. And there's 16 now with 2 bookmobiles, and so we're really excited to get you involved in what we're doing, and maybe you would volunteer with us sometime. And also, if you have kiddos, get them in the Summer Adventure Program. It is amazing. So without further ado, if we can get a microphone. No microphone? Well, I'm pretty sure, well, actually, Tierna, can you say your name and stuff and see if they hear you?
Yes, my name is Safietou Goudiaby, but I'm also an educator, my background, so
I think you can project.
Voice.
About you, Donald? Will you be okay? Okay. Well, we'll do that. We'll start with that and see if they can get those working. Okay? We'll start with you, Tiona. If you can give us a little bit about who you are and what country that you came from.
Okay, so like I said, my name is Goudiaby, and I'm from the country of Georgia. That's an independent country that very often people believe when they see my name or when they hear me speaking that I'm Russian. I'm not. Nothing is wrong with being one, but my first language is Georgian. That's a very unique language. It's not Cyrillic. I've been in the United States since 2007. I started as a part-time ESL instructor with Pikes Peak Library District. It was 2007. So, and then I started working in a library as an immigrant individual who had a background in teaching. I taught overseas at the university level, and my mother-in-law actually found out about this opportunity, and I said, okay, I'll get the job, but I'll do something else later. But of course I was wrong. I fell in love with public libraries, and one of the reasons is because of the intellectual freedom. That's what libraries stand for, and I've been here again for some time now. Then I became the supervisor of adult literacy, and then applied for the federal grant to expand those services, and I continued growing in my career with PPLD and serving this county. I was then director of adult education, and then Chief Public Services Officer and Deputy Chief Librarian And currently I serve as the interim chief librarian CEO for Pikes Peak Library District. And I saw Yesenia here, and I know that we worked very closely in previous roles. And then my passion is to remove barriers for all. And now I will sound, I don't have to project my voice, so it feels good. So I'm very humbled to be here working for the library district and serving our county and removing barriers for all. And of course I'm passionate when it comes to immigrants. Again, that's my background, and I'm so happy to know that we as the district, we provide resources and services for immigrants as well. And again, we are here for all. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. I have 2 children. My daughter is 12 and my son is 9. They love challenging me, but also they are bilingual, and they have 2 cultures. Sometimes it can be really difficult for them to navigate being an American and Georgian and living here. So again, my parents immigrated here about 10 years ago, and they had to learn English in our ESL program, and I'm very blessed that they're here. So that's a story about me, so thank you. Do you want me to continue? It's on.
Hello, my name is Safietou Goudiaby. I'm from Senegal, West Africa. I born and grow up there. So I have to live in this country for 18 years now. I'm a mother of 2 daughters. They are 16 and 13. So I came to this country. I did not speak English, but it was my 5th language. So I tried to learn English here and trying to figure out how to live in this country with look like a new life to me. So, but I use my culture to help me, because I am far away from my people, and I start drumming, teaching dance, and singing. So that helped me how to have people around me, and I can use that to live with them and share for something they don't know. And I did not learn it from anyone, it's just on me. So that is what helped me to have a little bit of my life to be able to share about who I am. But in my home, I am a very special person, because my people take a good care of me and they believe on me. The little young generation, I've been raising so many kids in my home village, and they are very sad when I first came here, thinking about how they can survive without me. So I try very hard to go every year back, and now I decided to do my both life home and back here. So I end up teaching at Colorado College, and it helped me to make people know how my culture is very rich, and so that is what I have to say for now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Krithika Prashant, and I am currently an independent PR and marketing consultant. After working with Mayor John Suthers and Mayor Steve Bott's administrations as their senior communications specialist, I have 3 master's degrees, 1 in communication, 1 in computer management, and my 3rd master's I completed in the United States, my MBA in marketing and international business. That's something I found my calling. Besides that, in the classical front, I have my own performing arts center. I am a dancer, a singer. I play the violin, and I play the tabla, which is an Indian percussion instrument. I choreograph pieces for the local community fundraisers. That's something that feeds my soul. I immigrated here from India 21 years ago, and I am now a mother of a daughter who is getting ready to head off to college. And I have a beautiful family here. And besides that, I also serve on boards. Right now, I'm the vice president of the cultural Pikes Peak Copper organization, as well as CASA, that help foster kids and court-appointed special victims. CASA, that's what it stands for. And in the past, I have served on the boards of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce, Colorado Springs Dance Theater, and I'm along with her in the class of 2019, the Women of Influence. I'm really excited to speak with all of you today, and thank you, Shirley, for giving me an opportunity to be here and share my journey with all of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Imelda Ruiz. I was born in California, but they took me to Mexico when I was about 4 or 5 years old, so I have no memory of California. I pretty much was raised in Mexico. But we were migrants to the U.S. every year. As kids looked forward to summer vacations, we looked forward May through August to work in the fields with my parents. So they would bring all 6 of us with them, and that was our life, living here in the United States until they settled here when I was 13 and struggled learning English with the second graders' writing skills. So. Now I went to school here at UCCS. I got an electrical engineering degree, and I've been with Colorado Springs Utilities since 2003, and I'm a supervisor for substation and transmission engineering. And I just volunteer a lot at our church and multiple communities, and then at work where possible.
So you did share your first thoughts about immigrating to the U.S. and who you were when you first came to the U.S. But how have you evolved since that time? How do you think you have evolved? And any one of you can answer.
Okay, I was handed the mic, so I'll start. So my experience of immigrating to a different country, the U.S. was not the first country. When I was about 15 years old, my family and I, we were forced to leave our country because of the political tension that was going on in the country of Georgia at that time. Some of you might recall that Soviet Union collapsed in 1989. And of course, it caused a lot of turmoil for many people, even though that was the right thing to happen. So I was 15 years old when we moved to Russia, and I did not speak a word of Russian. And imagine when you're a teenager and you're changing culture, language, and the climate. Because where I come from, it's tropical culture. So my hometown is located on the Black Sea. And again, I found myself in Russia. It's completely different. So what I learned from very young age that how important it is to preserve your own culture, to embrace who you are, but at the same time show the respect to the culture that you that at time we chose to be part of it and to adjust to some of the cultural norms. So when I moved here, of course, I was nervous. It's a completely different continent and different culture and the language and social norms. So I'm extremely grateful for all the opportunities that I had here. One of my things was that despite the fact that I already had education from overseas, I told my family and everyone else, I'm going to prove that I can obtain my education and degree in English as well. So that's why I received my master's from United States of America as well. And of course, there have been challenges finding myself as who I was, right? And then the opportunity that I was given to start helping immigrants when I was as an ESL instructor and then in charge of adult education, helping individuals who had no opportunities to graduate from high school and remove those barriers. That was extremely important to me, and that's how I found myself, and that's how I decided to stay with the library district, because that's my passion. Helping fellow immigrants, also understanding the culture of this country. It's different, right, where we come from. But again, what I tell my children and other immigrants as well, please do not use yourself, do not use your culture, do not use your language. Just embrace that. But it does not mean that you do not appreciate what we have here. But the word assimilation frustrates me, because assimilation means that you lose everything and you become someone else. And it's impossible. So I am all for adjusting to a different culture, but remembering that it's important to preserve our heritage as immigrants and also appreciate what we have here. And I'm grateful that I was welcomed. And yeah, there were challenges that I had to overcome. But that's life. So I'm extremely humbled and fortunate that where I am today, because it was a lot of work and a lot of support from my family and from my friends as well. So, but I'm very also humbled to be on this stage with these amazing ladies. And again, I'm very proud to say that I was the one who hired Shirley about a year and a half, yes, right? So, anyway, so that will be my 2 cents to share, that preserve what you have. It's important. Thank you.
Yeah, I born and grew up in a small village in Senegal, West Africa. I never traveled in my whole life. I came from that village directly to here. It was very hard and sad to leave my people, because my whole family are living there. So I was very scared and worried how I am gonna be welcoming in this country and how they're gonna think about me, how I'm gonna find how my life is gonna be. So it was very, very hard for me to not speaking the languages and try to learn it like a baby slowly, and missing my people so much, because in Africa we try very hard to be a family and share so many things together, playing with whatever we have. We appreciate it for what we have there, and for me to come here and start that with people who may don't understand who I am home back, and I feel like I was very hurt for many, many, many years. And I start pushing myself to prove how strong I am, because in my home I built a restaurant. I was the first female who make a restaurant in my village. And I've been working very hard to take care of my grandmother who raised me, and my family, and the people who very depend on me. So, and one day that restaurant was attacked by the rebels. So I feel very broken again. Then after that I came here and I was worried about how this country, I'm gonna live there. It's gonna, what I'm gonna, how I'm gonna be able to live in a country far away from my people, and with my scare inside my head, how they're gonna welcome me, how they're gonna, they're gonna try to help me feel like I'm safe, those kind of worried I have for many, many years, and it's still on me. But I know how busy people are here. They don't have time to care about who you are, what you've been, dealing with. So I can't try to share, but I just stand up and use my strongness, the powerful, the strong I have inside me, the one I've been using at my home, and try to live like you are there. Don't look for anyone to be giving you a hand. So stand up, and I start using my djembe, and I start drumming. I did not drum before, but I remember all the rhythm we've been using there. So I start drumming and singing the song we've been singing, and it looked like inside me I'm home with my people, and that helped me until I became a singer. So last year I started singing, and I can't believe what I get out from myself. In 1 year, I make 30 songs in 1 year, though they came like this. And all my songs is a message about what I've been carrying, and I can't share it with anyone, so I just put it on songs. So all my songs is just message, it's just telling, and if you listen to it and understand the languages I'm saying, you're gonna just wow. So, and I'm writing a book, I'm talking about so many things for people to hear me from there. So.
Music is a beautiful expression, isn't it? It helped me so much. I still remember my first plane ride to America. I was mesmerized. I was so excited. I was young, in my early 20s, and I had seen shows, American shows in India, Friends, Simpsons, and it was, and you don't realize that how much a sitcom talks about the culture of that country, and I was very excited. I used to see some American movies in India, and like you, it was bittersweet because I was leaving my family back home. And I was nervous, but I was excited. And when I knew that I was coming to a country, all these sitcoms, everything they say, it's a land of opportunity. And I come from a country, India, which is very diverse. In fact, one of our major tagline is unity in diversity. Every state of India is like a mini country. And I literally mean by there are different types of food. So when you cross the border from a state to state, you feel as if you're entering a new country. The attire that people wear is different. Of course, it's urbanized now, so we're all wearing our different similar clothes, but the food is very different. So I was used to diversity. And actually, I was very pleasantly surprised because when I first came to the United States, I was in the southern part of the country. And then I went to the Midwest, and now I'm in the West. And I did see diversity in food, in the mannerisms, but for me, the biggest evolution was I found that through volunteerism. I think for me, starting from age 20 to now where I am, volunteering gives you an opportunity to be in the pulse, in the heart of the community. And things were different for me. For example, people drive on the right-hand side of the street, and in India we drove on the left-hand side. The speeds on the freeway was very different. So but I was excited. I wanted to keep an open mind, and I wanted to embrace this culture. So through volunteerism, definitely. And I always felt, like you, I'm also a performing artist, so Indian music and Indian dance, people were so excited to see me dance. They were so excited to learn, even though it was a different language, and that motivated me to keep going. And that's why I started my Performing Arts Center. And through that, my daughter, she was born in this country. I wanted to give her that avenue where she can be part of two wonderful cultures. And I consider myself fortunate that I grew up in a country where work ethic, working hard, commitment to family, friends, community was important. And then I took those values with me and I've been able to come here. And I think what this country and my life here is, that has just expanded. And I have grown as a human being, as a woman, as a mother, as a friend, we've made so many wonderful relationships. And I'm very grateful for the open-mindedness that my community has shown me towards my culture. So that's how I have evolved. And even to this day, that's something that I have instilled in my daughter. Serving and volunteerism opened so many doors of friendships, relationships, opportunities, just self-growth, as well as helping those around you. So these are my few tidbits.
So I'm gonna skip beyond the first years of my childhood because I feel like we didn't have as much interaction into like the community in the US. So I'll speak from when we arrived here in Colorado Springs and I was learning English. So there's a common challenge, of course, of learning English, such small things of like making small mistakes, but doing this at an age where it's like middle school, where kids tend to not be at their nicest, can be a little bit of an extra challenge. I remember a specific day that my mom told me to tell my brother's classroom that he was sick, and I go and knock on the teacher's door and I say, so my brother's not coming to class today, he's sick, but sick like not healthy, not sick like gross. And everybody laughed, and now as an adult I can tell the story because it seems silly and it's funny, but at the moment that scarred me, like the fact that I make such a small mistake and I didn't understand why it was funny. And those challenges are tough to go through in such a like developmental stage in your life. But beyond that, once you learn English and all that, so I think some of the parts that evolved the most is to be compassionate with others, because you never know what's going on in their life. And I learned English, I graduated high school, I became an engineer, and everybody would see my story as successful. But to this day, most people at work would not know the struggle we went through some years ago. So a lot of people think of documented people and undocumented people. Very rarely do you hear of mixed status where we were at. So about 10 years ago, we got the notification it was time for us to proceed with his status, so he had to leave the country. And at that point, we were told, okay, Edwin needs to leave. It can be 2 months to 10 years. You have no idea how long it's gonna be. So at that moment, we were still healing from a miscarriage the year before. I was 3 months pregnant, and we had 4 kids under 8. So we made the choice for him to take our 2 younger ones with him without knowing when we'd see each other again. And I just stayed here with the 2 that couldn't go to school. So for months, I would drop off my kids, then cry my way to work, then sit in the parking lot, taking deep breaths until I could wipe away the tears and be ready to answer good when somebody asked me how I was doing. Because it's scary to share this kind of a situation. You don't know who's gonna reject you, who's gonna accept a status like this. It's not a normal story, and it's not something many people can relate to. And slowly, I've shared with people, and like Krithika said, like I've been pleasantly surprised by how many people are receptive and embrace this. But when you're in the middle of struggling, it feels very lonely. So evolving, when I hear this question, like there's so many different parts of it. There's the evolving of like learning to be a professional in the United States is it's different than I could have ever pictured. Just, I didn't know like sending thank you cards were a thing, you know, like table etiquette, like things that seem so basic and can come across rude to people were just not part of like what I knew and understood as my culture. So learning all of that, learning the language, and then going through our own challenges has evolved me into just trying to be a very compassionate person. Because so many people have struggles that they do not share, and mine can't be the only one. So everybody has a story, and I might never learn most stories, but I can make a difference maybe in just those around me.
Thank you for that. See, I'm all choked up now. I'm trying to go on to the next thing. Let me ask this from what you've answered so far. Do you think that you're the leader that you want to be now? Or do you think you can be better? And that's gonna be the last question so we can have some Q&A.
So from my side, I mean, I would hope to say yes. I guess I can't answer for the people that see me as a leader, but what I see as a goal in a leader is trying to resemble those people that were leaders to me. And I am sorry to say that, like, a lot of the teachers that made a difference in my life may never know how much it meant to me. The little kind words, the encouragement words, when I would be teased because of my accent or my lack of style or weird things I'd say that made sense in Spanish but they wouldn't in English, but they would encourage me in that moment, and they'd see me sad and say something. Or as I was, going through trying to understand, like, can I do this? Can I go through college? Like, I know Shirley since then, and through inroads and seeing people in the professional world, like being able to do it, minorities that were able to do it, and hearing their encouraging words, like seeing how small of an action it took for that to mean something to me made me think the leader I want to be is just a leader that just makes a big difference in a small group of people. It's okay if I don't change Colorado Springs or the nation or anything. As long as those around me say that I'm making a positive impact on them, there's already enough negativism and challenges and everything going on in the world that in my team at work, at church, with my friends, I just try to be like another opportunity for them to just leave my environment happier than they came to me. So I hope the answer is yes.
I think I'm always learning, and I think as a learner myself, I'm constantly evolving, and I have been fortunate to be guided by so many mentors along my journey. So the answer is, I think I still have room to grow, and that's the answer. I want to keep learning, and there are so many amazing people in the community who are doing wonderful things, and I'm constantly striving to increase my impact around me, starting from home, and continue learning.
Yeah, I think I am trying very hard to make people who have chance to be close to me, to know what I can do, what I have in life, and because my home, my people, very proud of me, be a strong person, and to here I try to make the people who have my time to sit down and be around me to know who I am, but I am not dealing too much on trying to force that for anyone to be knowing it. So what I try to have a balance of my life, I try very hard to go home every year, and there my people, every time I come, they welcome me like a princess. And when I'm coming back home, I feel so sad, but I still like, at least I have so many people. And with the singing I'm doing right now, I am a famous at my home. Every year I'm ready to go. They all ready to welcome me like a big star coming home. So that is something I am appreciated from my people. And I feel sad. I want people around me to know me more because I have so much to share, and it's just like very real life. So yeah, I'm working with my people and the people who trying very hard to helping me and trying to close to me. So.
I'm a little bit emotional here right now because I can relate with some of the experience when you're 15 and you're learning a foreign language and different culture. And I have a story when I lived in Russia and was learning the language. I was on my way to the store and I needed to buy something. And the one thing is that Georgians, they're not very popular in Russia. I've been, thank you. I've been labeled with certain names, and my goal was to actually, because I do look like more Russian than Georgian, so I did not want them to know that I wasn't Russian, so I did work very hard to lose my accent. So when I speak Russian, I think even now I don't have an accent, but then my approach to English was different. So my experience was when I was walking on my way to go to the store and get I don't remember what it was, I believe salt. And to pronounce salt, there is this soft L sound in Russian that a lot of Georgians struggle with that. It was about maybe 15-minute walk. I was working so hard to pronounce that L sound perfectly because I did not want them to know that I did not speak Russian well. And I still remember that. I still remember that day as if it was like happened yesterday. And the time we had the same challenges with my father. He was not able to come back to Russia, being with family. And right now, when there, of course, an average American does not understand the immigration system. They don't have to. And there are times when I struggle when I hear certain comments because I petitioned for my brother to immigrate about 10 years ago. And when I keep checking, they say it's still in process. I have 2 nephews that after that he got married and had children, and the only way I see them, it's virtually. So, sorry, I wasn't planning this. I didn't know it would happen. So, and in my case, when I am amongst Americans, when people look at me, I look like a regular American person until I open my mouth, right? And there are still times when I speak English and I consider I'm fluent. There are certain words I know that if I say it incorrectly, people would kindly maybe make fun of it, so I always try to find a different word to substitute. To answer your question, Shirley, I think important part of being a leader is having empathy. And all our experiences that we have experienced as individuals to inform because there is no one leadership style. When people say it depends on a situation. Do I believe I'm a good leader? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You just learn and you make mistakes. You make mistakes at home as a parent, you make mistakes at home, at work as an individual, but I think empathy is important and understanding and never assume. I learned one thing, never assume anything about anyone because we don't know their real story. But hopefully all of us together and individuals who support us on our journey, we will continue making progress. And we will continue making progress in our immigration system as well, even though it seems so unreal at times, because some of the reforms have not been renewed since 1959. So, anyway, but again, thank you. And
that's when I was born.
So, thank you.
So as we round out this panel, I'm going to open up the floor for questions from the audience. Yes.
Thank you for sharing. If you don't mind, if it's all right to answer, I would like to know the reason why you moved away from your country to come to this country.
Oh, for me, it's actually pretty easy. I blame my husband. Many years ago, we met in Russia. And honestly, I never thought I would be living in the United States of America. It's honestly all his fault because then, even though we met in Russia, my dad was in Georgia. Like I said, he was not able to come and join us. And he flew all the way from the United States of America to Georgia to speak with my father. And I flew to Georgia from Russia. And the funny fact, I was the interpreter while he was asking my dad for his blessing. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
I did not choose to be here. I don't want to say it like I feel like I did not appreciate it about living here because this is a part of my life, but I never dreamed about leaving my home. But it happened, so I take it like maybe it's a part of my life. So I came here. When I first heard I'm gonna come here, I did not excited. I was very scared. So
For me, it was to pursue a higher education.
So similar to Krithika, even though they brought me when I was a kid, I didn't decide to come, but I know what the answer is for my parents. They only studied to 3rd and 6th grade, and we were born, or they were in pretty much a village, 3,000 people. There was no high school. You'd have to take a bus to the town over by yourself to even go to high school. There's no hospital. There's a couple of doctors that sometimes were in town. There was just a small clinic. The closest hospital was an hour away. So I know my parents wanted us to. So just the health system, the educational system, just a lot more opportunities. So it comes at a steep price, but I know looking back that I would have decided the same thing.
I'm Roxana Uyewo. I'm from Congo, and I moved here like eight years ago, and my husband is Nigerian, so it's kind of like a mixed house with everybody living here. I wanted to ask a question to the lady in blue.
Okay.
How do you manage being professional? Because I have a bachelor degree in communication from back home,
Okay.
But since they didn't take it here, I had took another bachelor degree at UCCS and just
Cool.
graduated recently.
Cool.
But people look at you like you're a communication professional. You're supposed to speak and write, right? So it's kind of challenging them not understanding that I'm coming from a French-speaking country, and they're expecting me out of college to be like exceptional in English, exceptional. I understand it comes with the job because you're a communication specialist, so everything has to be perfect when it comes to communication. But how do you overcome that challenge as an immigrant? And I also would like to ask Mrs. Diallo, like, I have these challenges. The more I'm trying to connect with America, sometimes I disconnect from back home. Because you can be everywhere trying to learn English, the culture. Sometimes I find myself watching movies, and when I talk to my sibling back home, they're like, oh, you American people, you're so different. And how do you manage that disconnect, especially if you go there every year? So thank you.
Okay. I have my family here, so my life came to be a part of two. So I am trying to be not taking it to myself because now I have kids. I'm gonna give them chance to be able to live where they want, and be a mother. I can't just choose to be in one place. So my people and my family here, that is why.
Thank you.
Congratulations by getting the degree from UCCS. So proud of you. Very nice. We are so lucky to have institutions like UCCS. I'm so proud of you. First of all, kudos. You stood up and you communicated so effectively right now. And I think having a French or another language is only going to serve as an advantage for you. What I would say is, first of all, as you know, since you have a degree in communications, there are so many different branches. There are modes of communication like social media, where you really don't have to speak in front of people, although I do encourage you to speak in front of other people. Just be patient and just let those first 5 minutes go past, and then your work will do the magic. Your work will do the talking. What is communication? Basically, we are just sharing the message, maybe sometimes from one person to the other. Or if you're working for an organization, then you're communicating what their goals and objectives are. I'll be happy to speak to you one-on-one. Don't let that deter you, because we are in an amazing community that is, and maybe you can bring up ideas that were never thought about because of your diverse culture and because of where you came from, and this community will benefit from that. So continue to be determined like how you are already, and you will get past that. And that's when I can speak to you one-on-one too, and I'll help you some avenues where you can start and then build your way. But trust me, you've already caught my attention, so I'm sure you're going to be an amazing fit in so many different organizations. So keep up the enthusiasm.
Any other questions? So I have a question. So we'll end it with this. I mean, you've shared so much of your life, and just your special or unique avenues of how you came to where you are today. And I know each one of you independently, because I've been in your life in some way, shape, or form. So I see how you've evolved. What I'm going to ask you is, what would be the one thing, and it can be 1 or 2 sentences, that you would give as advice to anybody in this room or anybody that's watching online? And then, we'll be posting this video. What would you tell them about coming to this country and then making your way?
I would say don't give up. There's always going to be challenges no matter what path you take. And just the few people that believe in you are enough. Like, stand by them, listen to them, trust them, and believe in yourself.
being open-minded and adaptive, and really taking advantage of all the amazing opportunities that this community has to offer. There are so many easy ways to get involved in the community and have wonderful platforms to share the heritage where you have come from and to culminate or to have a culmination with the culture that's in the community.
Keep living your life the way you thought is gonna make you happy, and try very hard to be showing your education and what you are doing at your home for your people to be believing you and to be trusting you. Keep living that around the people you have here, and you may gonna get some people who gonna hear you for what you need to be more strong in here or not. But I believe to be trying to do what I'm doing to make myself happy, and for the people who have time and feel it to be around me, I will appreciate that. But if not, I'm gonna keep singing and keep pushing myself forward and trying to give my kids a chance maybe to have maybe what I did not have. I mean, like better life. So.
Allow yourself to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. And extend grace to yourself when you fail. It's okay to fail.
I'm sorry, because you had already closed. I do want to ask the ladies. I'm from Kenya too, and Tiana, but anybody can answer. You say you don't like the word assimilation. How do you become an effective communicator? You maintain who you are, but you're able to work in the system.
Good question.
Thank you, Shirley. Yes, that's a great question. I know there was another question asked today. How is it possible to be connected with two cultures and two countries in an effective way? I believe all of us here are multiculturalists. We do not have one culture. When I said it's important to adjust and to learn new cultural norms in order to be effective in a new country. And sometimes it takes time. And what also it happens, you learn what is acceptable in this culture, what questions, for instance, in my culture, that's totally okay to ask someone how much money they make. But here, I know it is not okay, so I'm not going to. So I think that's kind of my answer. I hope that it's to adjust to understand cultural norms of the country. And I believe it's my job as an immigrant to understand the culture of the country that I chose to be part of, and communicate that way with them. But it does not mean that I'm going to forget my heritage and my roots. And in my case, in my home, at home, my kids know there are certain things that we're doing Georgian way, and then when they go to work, to school, honestly, sometimes they struggle with that. But we have those conversations. I guess learn a new culture, adjust to that, but don't lose yourself. So I'm still going to be a Georgian, and I will still have an accent until I die, I believe. But also I respect the culture of this country, and I kept my own and adopted or borrowed maybe some of the norms from this country. Did I answer your question? Also, I'm an educator, so I will always want to have a feedback, so it can be annoying at times. Thank you.
So again, Thank you so much. And one thing I can say is, as a military person, whether I was a child, my father was in the military, or myself being in the military, traveling to other countries, the one thing that I always wanted to do for my kids, because being in another country, you are away from family, is that I adapted myself to the country I was in, because I felt like at the point in time I'm there, I'm home. And you have to make that home for your children. But you also have to understand the culture that you're in and embrace it. And so that means traveling to different cultural places, museums, and just doing all the kinds of things that you would normally do in your own country. And like again, I said, making that place your home while you're there. So this is the conclusion. I want to thank our panel.